Hello everyone, my name is Mikhail Moikin. My whole life has been connected to alpine skiing in one way or another. Back in 1978, I started training in a sports club and competed in various events at different levels. In 1991, I graduated from the Institute of Winter Sports, as it was called back then, in the city of Tchaikovsky in the Urals. And at the institute, we studied not only general subjects, but we also had a favorite subject called IVS, which stands for Chosen Sport. We studied the theory of alpine skiing and alpine skiing techniques. Naturally, we trained, but especially important and especially interesting was conducting research throughout all the years of study under the guidance of the head of the department, Andrei Fyodorovich Vesovsky. In the 2000s, or more precisely in 2004, I began participating in alpine skiing competitions for veterans. I haven't missed a single season since. To get good results, I naturally had to train and relearn, adopting the new modern techniques we weren't taught back then. While training in Boston, I began to reanalyze and break down this new technique for myself because it was somewhat unfamiliar to me. But naturally, it was athletic since we were involved in sports. Navigating the gates, angles of attack, edging, arms, legs, hips, all of this had to be learned anew. And years of training, of course, have already brought me results in technique and naturally in sports. 6 years ago, it happened that I started working as a coach in a children's sports club. And from time to time, teaching beginner skiers how to turn correctly. I tried to pass on all my accumulated knowledge and skills. Well, this especially applied to young athletes of Akiana Sietsia because all my core knowledge was gained on race courses and in competitions. Working with children and demonstrating elements to them, most often while standing on the snow, I began to realize that it is very difficult to show dynamic movement while standing in one place. It was even harder to convey how to perform this dynamic movement while in motion, as it was very difficult for the children to grasp this. It was especially hard to grasp how body angulation happens in a turn, and you have to show it statically, even though the movement itself is dynamic. To do this, well, we used various well-known exercises. Again, all of this was static and in only one direction of the turn, not to mention linking turns and how the pelvis and hips move. It was very difficult to demonstrate. It was hard for the kids to grasp how to apply this in practice, how to apply it on the course. Visual examples didn't really help the kids because they lacked the skill to understand how it all happens, or rather, they didn't have the muscle and joint awareness, and they didn't have the muscle and joint memory of how this movement occurs. And the more I work with different athletes, the more I start to wonder how all this needs to be fixed and how to overcome the situation. All this led me to the idea of creating a simulator where one could simulate the lean angle, correct leg positioning, lock in the forward body position, and work out physically with maximum lean while also experiencing a load of at least 2 Gs. The ideas came in different ways, in different parts, one from here, one from there. Then I had to somehow put it all together and break down this skiing technique again in different planes and in my thoughts, and then apply it all back to the technique and combine it all into one new whole. Well, that's how it was. Over time, a clear picture emerged of how it should work and how it would be set up. Because after analyzing all the trainers currently on the market and reviewing the entire global database dating back to the beginning of the last century, well, I must say I did not find an exact replica of my solution. There are, of course, overlaps in ideas because, after all, it is alpine skiing turns. But at the same time, there are differences in their implementation and application of this movement. Well, let's look at the main aspects, perhaps. When skiing, external and internal forces act on the athlete. When a skier is in a turn, there are, let's say, two main forces at work, centrifugal and centripetal. Well, there are, of course, other forces acting on the athlete, but we are not considering them for now. We are not taking them into account. We want to focus special attention on the influence of these forces, because by effectively and correctly countering these forces, as well as their specific vector, an athlete can achieve the best results.